Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining on our 4th of July special. This is episode 8. I am very excited to be here. I want to give a special shout out to the British folks who watch this in the morning. So you'll be watching it on the 4th when you wake up. Thanks for the day off. And I'm really glad you guys lost that war. So I appreciate that. Um, it was a little bit of a long time coming to get everything up and running, and I'm especially excited about tonight because I had a scheduling error, and my guest was very accommodating with it, which I appreciated very much. We realized that we had to go see a concert last night on the original day, and graciously she pushed it back a day to be here tonight to talk about her books and a bunch of other cool stuff. So I appreciate that very much. I reached out to her months ago and asked for copies of her books, which got sent to me, and I love them. I reviewed the first one on Willow Wraith's site, which was great, and I am more than halfway, probably like 65% through book 2. So we'll get into that, and I am bringing her onto the stage now. Welcome, Trinity Cunningham.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you for joining. You're going to notice me looking more to the left because my MacBook that I got now doesn't, it's not compatible with the docking station I have. So everyone is going to see me keep looking right where I have my notes, which I forgot when I returned my old work computer, like I told you. So if looking to the right bothers you, not you, the viewers, kind of just need to deal with it. Um, you're all here voluntarily, and we appreciate it. Um, I am going to bring the first cover up right now because the series, I know you're working on book 3, but first off, stunning cover, which is really what drew me to it right off the bat. So I want to give some props to that because it's beautiful. But book 1 of The Guardians of the Weldafire Stone, Bloodbound. Can you give us a little bit of a brief background, just to the plot of this?
Yeah. I practice this spiel a lot. It's about a curse that wipes out magic from the land, and these twin brothers, their blood is entwined with the magic, but they don't know it. So they mistakenly break the curse and reawaken the magic and draw attention to themselves from everyone, including the tyrant ruler who wants to get rid of it. In a nutshell, that's usually how I kind of give that spiel.
Yeah, that was actually a very good spiel because it kind of got the point across with no spoilers. Because I try to not go too deep into like plot or anything. You never know who read it, who is going to read it, or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I thought this was your first book, right?
Yeah.
Awesome debut. Yeah,
you.
this was a great debut, and this hit me just at the right time because there is one plot thread that goes on with it, which I'm going to ask about. But the Stolen Son. Um, I read this when I had like a 5-month-old daughter, and I think I even messaged you after it, and I was like, I wanted to jump through the page and help him.
Yeah, right. I know it's like my heart. Why am I writing this?
I know. Every once in a while, something comes across, and it's like it worked very well for this because it didn't end up being graphic or anything like that. It was just one of those things where every time he got close, just a little bit further out of reach, and it was just like, God, give him a break.
Yeah.
So when you were when you were writing that, did you bring anything personal into the story? I imagine that's I mean, me as a reader, that's one of my biggest fears. But was that something that kind of got the ball rolling along?
Yeah. It's funny because when I originally wrote it, like he didn't have much of a character like the son, and my editor actually brought my attention to it. And she's like, you got to give him. And as I'm giving him like this character, I'm like, yeah, but he's so innocent. And yeah, like, yes, no, I have a heart for children for sure. And so this was a difficult. I guess I don't know. We tend to write or veer in a direction of things that are horrifying, and give it hopefully happy turnaround or not, but it worked out. It was very personal in the sense that, yes, that is like one of my biggest fears of like anything happening to my kids, right?
And yeah, that it definitely did work out, which was great. I think the biggest theme for the book itself was family, because the relationships between every person there, the twin brothers, which was Raiden and Dimitri, like even from right off the bat, you can kind of get the vibe of it. Like he ended up, when Dimitri knocks on the door, you can feel the almost apprehension of Raiden opening it, where you're just like, what am I getting into right now?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was a great way to get that point, kind of get the ball rolling and set the story in motion. And really, all the characters in it, which Layla I have is the other POV that we mainly spend time with, and her relationship with her brother was also just fascinating to read, which I thought was very cool. She was a very strong female character, which is always appreciated, especially in with her backstory. Can you go into how you fleshed her out a little bit?
Yeah, I can. She was a bit of an accident too.
Wow.
Honestly, I literally sat down and said, I'm going to write a book. And this is how it started. And I had this idea that was always what Unbound is today, like the second book. But I was going back and I'm like, I need to flesh out more of this history. And as I was kind of diving into these twin brothers story, I'm like, oh, this is a story into itself. So I literally just like started writing the twin brothers. And then I'm like, oh, well, I should have another character in the Elder Race place so that like I can kind of see what's going on there. So then I was like, in comes Layla. So then I was like, okay, I got Layla. And I thought she was just gonna be a little bit more of a side character, but she really, like, her character in the book is her character. And she took that and was like, nope, you're writing me in here.
Yeah,
She
no,
came
that
to
was a
life
great accident.
yeah, no, she really came to life, and it was super actually easy to write her character because of that. She just is a driving force, and I'm maybe also being female makes it easier to write from a female perspective. I don't really know if that makes a difference because some characters just like come easy and some don't. Mick in Unbound was a really like easy character to write. Not so much his wittiness because I am not a witty person at all, but like he was. I like knowing the characters and their who they are comes out a lot.
Even jumping ahead to Unbound, I that's crazy to hear that you don't think you're witty because of Mick's character, because he's great and like very funny. I think there was a couple of times, like even in the last like couple of days when I've been reading it, and I wish I had one of the quotes on there, but it's where, again, no spoilers or anything. It's very basic what I'm going into, but it's when they get the three of them. Again, I'm that good at no spoilers, where I'm just saying the three of them,
Three of them.
where they get kind of kidnapped at her uncle's, again, super vague, her
Yeah.
uncle's house that they're hiding out in, and that whole journey where they're getting brought to him, he is just shit talking, and it's really funny. So, especially now that you say that, major props to even getting that out, because I loved it.
That's good. I'm glad. His remark that he comes up on the fly, they took me days or weeks to come up with. It's like,
Wow.
okay, now I know what he'll say.
Oh, that's interesting because it flowed so naturally. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm
good. That's the idea.
now it worked then. I'm gonna get back into Unbound because, like I said, I'm more than halfway through and really enjoying it, which is kind of going. It says a lot because I really enjoyed Bloodbound, and I think Unbound is a definite step up.
That's good.
So
I'm glad
yeah,
you did.
yeah, that's awesome. But one of the coolest things I thought about Bloodbound was the magic is gone from the world. The event happened in that city with the Eldorus, and now they're kind of in the mines. What made you want to take it that way? Because there's also the Volca Order, which is, he's again the leader whose name I forgot. I have the son Ilan, but they're trying to stamp out the magic throughout the world, but it's already kind of gone, even though they're trying to bring it back. But what made you want to go that route with magic where it starts gone and is just like a threat behind the scenes?
Like you mean like why I wanted it to be gone in the first place beforehand?
Yeah, like what made it start that way and then have people, there's the other forces like Adric trying, Baron trying to bring it back. So
Yeah.
what made it start gone?
So that's actually going to be the third book. The third book is like a prequel to Bloodbound, and it's how the curse came to be in the first place. So the whole series, it's a trilogy. It's called the Guardians of the Weldafire Stone series, and it's like going to come around full circle. So once like the third book's done, the starting place would still be Bloodbound, which is super weird. Like when I started it that way, I'm like, I don't know why I did it like that, but now I do. Now I know why, but I won't say why because it's a big spoiler. But like the idea was that there was the like war initially drove the Elder Race to bind the stone to somebody, and they had candidates, they had people like that they were like considering, but it doesn't just doesn't just go to anyone. It's pretty crucial that it has to be a specific type of person, or like the whole chosen one. I like to think of like Blue Beetle, where it's like it chose him. It's like, yeah, kind of like something like where it chose.
Yeah.
So
I chose both of them in this case.
Yeah. Well, actually, it wasn't. It was only because of their bloodline. So the third book, that is the prequel, is Mark, and he is the one who's kind of chosen. And as soon as it's in his bloodline, like that's where it stays, unless it's taken from there. But it that's also part of the issue, right? So
yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I'm glad, because that was like one of the biggest things I was wondering about. So it's almost relieving where that's your plan to explain. It kind of validates like my thinking, where it's like, oh, okay, I was kind of like picking the right thread to find out the answers to it, because it was a very cool way of having that done. And the other characters that I mentioned, like Adric, how am I pronouncing that right?
It's Adric, but that's okay.
Adric.
Island, Adric, Bayron. I know they're weird.
That's the East Coast coming out in me. We can just go with that. I thought it was very cool that he and Raiden had crossed paths way beforehand, because the entire time you're thinking something horrendously traumatic happened to him. And again, I won't go deeper into that, but kind of the twists and turns of their relationship along the way. It almost took that mentor type role and flipped it, which I thought was very cool. It was a lot of tropes that got subverted in this, so I appreciated reading it the entire time. But what made you want to go that route with those characters? Because it's him and again, I'm gonna just pronounce it for me, because I'd rather just not butcher it.
Adric?
No, Adric. Not Adric.
Oh, Island?
Island, yes, because both of them, I think I had Island right the first time, which is great, but both of them take that character arc of what they each were. I'm going to get into Island in a second, but was Adric more fun to write going that way than the usual mentor?
Yeah, I actually thought he was going to be, I don't know if I'm going to spoil anything if I say, he was always supposed to be the villain, if that makes sense. And when I'm a discovery writer, I'm like learning my process at the moment, now that I'm third book into writing, like, but the first book was total by the seat of my pants. Like, honestly, I just the intention the initial intention was that Adric would always be the villain, and then Island was the villain, and it's like just all like, I don't know. It's hard to explain how my thoughts kind of took those twists. I do like to turn tropes, like, and not make them so tropey. It's more just like, I don't like super predictable anything, and I like to make things a little bit more like, oh, I mean, I kind of saw that coming. It's inevitable, right? Like where you don't necessarily see it coming, but it was always inevitable to happen.
Yeah,
So,
and that was very even more apparent in Islands because he's following his dad, who is the leader of the order, trying to get rid of all the magic, and he's like obsessed with it. And it was very refreshing to see, not in a horrendous way, where he's not obsessed with it as looking at magic and the Eldris as fanatics or like a blight upon the world, and he wants to know more about it and how everything works,
yeah.
which I thought was awesome. And he kind of turned into you see him, you read the POV, and you're like, villain, villain, and like halfway through again, it definitely takes a turn, and it just shows that character growth, which is so much fun to read because he's a lot more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Was that always intended with him, or was he supposed to be a smaller or bigger character?
He was supposed to be a bit of a small. He was always intended to be the bigger villain, like the major villain kind of thing. Somewhere along the way, it was I did a complete rewrite after I gave it to my editor. Like I did a complete everything, like point of views changed and everything. Like I had Dimitri as a point of view, and then that's where I swapped it. I had originally written Island as a point of view, and then I'd taken it out and done something different, and then to my editor, and she's like, you should give Island a point of view, and I'm like, I did, and then I second guessed myself. So I think like just the evolution of his character and how it came to be was it did feel natural. It did feel like it was always kind of going that direction, even if I didn't necessarily know it.
Oh, that's awesome. It's fun to hear that writing process because so far it was he was supposed to be gone and then got brought back. Like Layla was supposed to be smaller and got bigger, and it's like, all right, like the editors like also play like a huge part in everything, but I don't think I've ever been as happy to hear of someone being like, no, do this as
Yeah.
what I'm hearing now, because it was like everything that got changed and put back in made the book and is so far making the series. And kind of going forwards from there, I wanted to see what made you fall in love with this genre to start with, because we're talking about a lot about the subverting tropes and everything, and obviously, that kind of comes with the territory when you've been like engulfed in this world for so long. You kind of get the feel of what everything is, the stereotypes. But what was your first kind of experience with this type of world? Whether you were a kid or however old you were, but what made you fall in love with it?
I'd say probably like, so I mentioned in backstage that I'm a big movie buff, and I watched tons of movies before I read books. And when I read books, I read spy thrillers and like espionage stuff. Like that was what I read. I didn't actually read a ton of fantasy as a kid. It was more the movies and shows that I watched. And I loved X-Men. It was like my favorite. And The Matrix, like they're like sci-fi fantasy. And then I got into Lord of the Rings and like those big movies. So they were all my like inspiration in the fantasy worlds. And I've always been drawn to that. And I guess it wasn't until like even when I wrote Bloodbound, it was initially again the intention was that I would write sci-fi, and I did have it like I studied screenwriting and I wrote it as a screenplay initially like years and years ago that will never ever, I'll probably burn it. But it was a sci-fi initially, and then when I went to go write it as a novel, I started making up these names and these words and this language, and I'm like, oh, I'm making stuff up now. Like this isn't even like in real life. And then like I kind of realized I'm veering in this direction of fantasy, and I do it well. Like I make up stuff well because that's just my brain doesn't work in reality. I don't. I like to disappear into fantasy, so it kind of worked out well that way. Yeah, just the way that it took a turn in that direction, and I was like, okay, I can roll with this. I can go with this. So I like the fantasy, and still sci-fi is up there with my favorites in the genres, and I still intend to write a sci-fi book.
Well, I'm sure that's going to roll too. And this was kind of an ironic comment at the moment because Mike just joined. Trinity's amazing. He said that as you were talking about the Matrix, but I am still just going to be inclined to think he's talking about you. Yeah, the sci-fi is so much fun. So I would definitely be excited to read that as well. And it's funny to hear that you were a spy thriller reader because not a lot of people talk about that.
I grew up with just like lot of espionage books. I don't even know if they're big name authors, but they're.
I don't even know any espionage books. I think or movies. I guess I would just have to be like the Bourne Identity at this point.
Yeah, Robert Ludlum. Yeah, he's one, and I read a lot of his books too. And there's can't remember the names. But Charles Cumming is one, and he wrote the Trinity Six. Of course, it had my name in it, so anything that had that too.
Yeah, it's like you're my new favorite.
Yeah. There was another one. I can't remember the author, but the book was called The Devil's Plaything, and it was almost like a psychological thriller. It was like with that he knows too much kind of aspect to it, which was really, and I always love that. So
yeah, there's I guess not a big debate, but do you consider Silence of the Lambs, is that a psychological thriller or is that horror?
I would put it personally in horror, but it's like really close to that line, I think.
Right?
Psychological makes you really have to think, where you're almost the whole way through trying to figure it out or solve it. And I don't know, I didn't feel like Silence of the Lambs was right there with that.
Yeah, I feel like psychological horror is like 7 or something like that. Okay. That's right. I don't know.
The Sixth
I'm bad with categories, but again, amazing movie there. Have you seen anything recently that you loved? I went to the theaters on Tuesday and saw 28 Years Later, which was very good. Not psychological. That was just horror. It was a horror coming of age, which was crazy. But I know we'll get into it in a little bit. You have 3 kids, so I'm sure you're not seeing horror movies with all of them in anything. But
we did watch Jurassic Park and all the Jurassic Parks and all the Jurassic Worlds with my sons, my 6 and my 8-year-old.
Nice.
I don't know if we're crazy for doing that, but my husband put it on and he's like, I was their age when I saw it in theater.
All right.
My 8-year-old's just like.
Yeah, I agree with your husband. I think that's when we started watching them. I know my brother, the youngest one, must have been 4 when Jurassic Park was on. So I'm sure it's not a coincidence that that's why he is a horror fanatic. But how do you like them?
The Jurassic Parks?
Yeah.
I like the original Jurassic Park. I don't mind. I think there's 1 or 2 with Chris Pratt that I didn't mind. But honestly, dinosaurs are not my thing. and I say that I know there's a lot of big dinosaur lovers and like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was good. I enjoyed it because it was before its time, and it was one of those things that it was kind of awe-inspiring when you see it. You're like, wow.
Yeah, that's for sure. It holds up too. Did your 8-year-old like it?
Oh yeah. And then he tells me days later he's had nightmares about dinosaurs, and I'm like, well, why didn't you say something?
Yeah, sounds about right.
I think he still liked him though. Didn't put him off. So
that's one of those movies where as a kid you're going to watch it and enjoy it and have night. I remember I got shown Terminator 2 and it was Liquid Metal Man, kind of haunting my dreams for a little bit because that's also crazy. Great sci-fi as well, but I just had something I was going to mention when we were talking about it. Oh man. Mm-hmm. Oh, about sci-fi books, but because Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park, obviously.
Right.
But have you read any of his other stuff? Because he's like a full-on scientist. Okay. I almost feel bad describing him as full-on scientist. It doesn't give the respect he deserves. But he has a lot of really cool stuff. He has the Andromeda Strain, a bunch of cool things. So if you haven't heard or looked at any of that, that's like some espionage type stuff, and
So,
something to look into. But
I think I have a couple of his books on my bookshelf. I just don't think I've read them yet.
yeah, sounds about right. They're blurred out, but yes.
I said,
um,
unslide.
I could unblur. Well, I don't even know how to do it. There's a lot on there. I do have
Oh, hey, look, I got that one.
Unbound, right? I'm gonna pop that up
Yeah.
over here because again, keeping with the cover theme, beautiful work.
Thanks. I have
I loved that. And like I said, I am probably 60, 70% through, and I think that this is a definite step up, which isn't saying anything bad about Bloodbound, but I think it's more of a testament to you getting so much better at writing it. Because this was, again, I'm not doing any spoilers. I can't spoil the end, but every person that I'm reading in here is so fully fleshed out that it feels like I am running away with them in the beginning and I'm traveling with them. And it kind of almost is obviously it's a sequel, so it's just years later, but it's fun seeing all of the names and how all of this ties back in together. Um, when you were writing it, because you were just mentioning how in book one you were off and running and kind of making it up as you went, but for where this one, was there a little bit more of a plan where it's like, I'm going to link this to this, and this character is going to be the niece of someone from book one? How'd you flesh that out to make everything make sense?
Well, initially, Unbound, the story was like the original idea. So that one was always what was there. So when I did Bloodbound, it was like almost linking it to Unbound. So Unbound was actually really easy to write because I had it all there mapped out in my head, everything that needed to happen, who was who, and where they'd end up. With Layla being a character who took charge and she came back, and I'm like, okay, she's here and I love her. I love this. But there was that I think it was 43-year gap. So there's a good gap of time when you don't really know what goes on in that time frame. I am actually working on I'm outlining a series, just like a 5-part short series for Layla, and that whole like 43-year gap and how she goes from here to here, because it's a pretty big jump. But
It's a huge jump. Like again, I'm not even saying anything, but like when you see her pop up and just like with her alternate title, you're like,
yeah.
What happened? Like there's a gap of info I'm missing. So hearing that there's going to be a mini series of just her, awesome.
Yeah, she's just that character. Like I said, she takes charge, and she really does. Also, like I grew to love her. It's like, and then other people are telling me, they're like, I love Layla. I'm like, yeah, I kind of do too. So I felt like she needed her story told between, but because it's not part of the Guardians of the Weldafire Stone, like it has nothing to do with the Weldafire Stone, where she goes and what she does. I didn't want to like link it into the series itself. I want to stick to the topic and then like come off of it for her later.
Nice, good plan. Because yeah, that definitely needs some gap filler in there. But it's been a lot of fun to read, especially towards the beginning, because Mick, while he's there, he's a chef, which is just awesome. Like you never see kid chefs or character chefs, I should say, starting off the story, but you don't realize how precarious his situation is. At first, it's like you see it's a little bit shady, and you think he's going to get away with some stuff and do what he needs to do, and it took a turn real quick, and it is very fun to read along with that. It brought me back to like a much more classic fantasy vibe than I've been reading lately. So I'm really enjoying it. And now knowing about the Layla side story, what's the progress with book 3 at the moment?
I'm like literally writing at the moment that like I'm about to come to that big climactic like face off antagonist protagonists, and that's where I'm at the moment. I was actually hoping to be done it on the 30th, but I started working this year full time and didn't expect to. So everything kind of got pushed a little bit. It's like, but this is where I'm at. So it's really close. I want to say like 6, 7 chapters away from the very end scene.
Awesome.
I tend to do a little bit of like a double climactic moment where there's almost two big things to resolve in both Bloodbound and Unbound, and apparently this third one too.
Just the signature style.
It just, yeah, there's, I guess, because there's so much going on and because there's multiple point of views, it's just bringing everything around to a resolution of some degree. I don't want to spoil anything for the third book, but
That's
it's
awesome.
the idea is that, you know, the way that by the time you finish it, you're left off right where Bloodbound picks up, and you almost want to go pick up Bloodbound again.
That's such a unique way of doing it. That's really cool that the end of the trilogy is a prequel into book one. I have another question. I'm going to go back to it now because what made you want to do that? That's you see the trilogies all the time, obviously, and it's a part one, part two, part three, story's over, and this is like a wheel. So, how'd you go about doing that? That's really interesting and unique.
I think it was more like my idea of I do like series, but you hear so often, especially recently, where like there's these authors they're starting a series, but then it's not finished, and then people are like wanting more. And as a writer, like I get it, where it's like I don't want to get sick of these characters. I don't want to get sick of this world and writing in it. And if you lose that love for it, that passion in it, then it's hard to keep going. Like you kind of have to force yourself along. So I wanted to avoid that for myself, and just as a first time not really knowing how things would go about and what my process is, and you know when you get that burnout, how would I respond in that? So it was more just the idea of I want to write a trilogy because there is more to this whole story, but I didn't want to like do the same character throughout. I did have different characters already thought out for them, and just making it so that they can be read well alone as well as together, but there is an overall theme throughout the whole series. So even though you'd read, you know, you can read Unbound on its own and not read the other ones, and it still makes sense, I hope.
No, definitely.
The theme is like evident. Again, I hope it should come across as like, you know, obvious. I hope by the time it comes to the third book and you finish it, and you're like, oh, I can see how, you know, this overarching theme goes throughout the whole series.
Yeah, I love that. That's very cool. I definitely appreciate it a lot. It was very smart to not leave as anything open ended because people get killed now, which is almost not fair to to the authors. Where especially life happens. You have three kids. You're working full time again. If someone was just wants book three and they're expecting it as a direct sequel to close out the story, it's like, hey, what's going on? Like, is this coming out? So
Yeah.
that was a very smart way of doing it.
Yeah. So to avoid that, come on. It's like no pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And each of them so far they can definitely be read as standalones, which it has like you said the underlying arc across everything, but it's a unique story in each one of them so far, where it's like you pick it up, and yeah, there's some things where it has like the crossover, especially as you're reading Unbound, where people the characters show up again, the ties are there, but if you just read Unbound on its own before even Bloodbound, you would still have an awesome story, and that's great. Is book three? Is there another 5 year? Not 5 year. Another time jump like that, or is that going to be kind of a direct sequel?
It's well because if you've read Bloodbound, it's not really spoiling too much. It starts off when the curse is already in the land, and it's been for 100 years. So it's 100 years prior to, as you know, the elder race lived for a long time. So,
Yeah,
it's 100 years prior. So when the curse came to be, which was that century gap,
perfect. All right, so yeah, that's gonna be great.
right into it. It's just not like immediate in our timeline of years.
And then after the Layla five arc, you're gonna have to go through and fill in this 100 years.
Yeah,
So
I know. Well, actually, I was like, I have a bit of a story for. It's funny because when you dive into the characters in the worlds, like they each have their own story, and you could easily just go back and be like, oh, let's go look at this character and their story because it's fascinating. Like some of the delegates, like the six who kind of are protectors of the stone initially before it's bound. They each came from their own place, and Norik is a character, and I was like, oh, I'm going to take his story because it's really cool, and it goes back to one of the other countries, and I've actually delved into this country a little bit with a different story that's totally unrelated. But it's just this web of everything, web of people, characters, places that all link in my mind, and that I can pick one and just roll with it and go in and be like, okay, where are we going here? Who are we following?
yeah, that's awesome. It's like a permanent world to live in, and just like you said, you can just reach in and pick someone and be like, well, I'm gonna work on you today,
Yeah.
and jump from there. So that's awesome. And like you mentioned before, and like I just did, you have 3 kids, you just started working again. How do you find the time to do all this?
Um, I used to be a late night writer. Like I would write into like about 3 in the morning, and I would still get up at 9ish, and we would do our thing, whatever. Or I'd send the kids to school, and then I'd go back to bed. I can't do that anymore because I have to get up usually pretty early. So I've started doing like half an hour a night at the very least. If that's all I get in, then I'm like, that's all I can do. But it's just, I know it's a slower process, and I know that it's going to take me longer to get somewhere. But the point is that I'm still doing it, and that I'm still like pushing myself to keep writing every night, even if it's like 200 words or less. But no, it's I make the time when I can. Now that it's summer, like where I work is in the school, so now I'm off with the kids. So now that it's summer, I'm like diving in. I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna outline the next one. So when fall comes around and school's up again, then I'm at least with a plan.
Yeah, mostly a little caught up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because especially we have a 2-year-old, and I feel stretched out sometimes. So major props to you and pretty much every parent for being able to put time aside to do this. I guess that's why I review the books and write 2 paragraphs, and you write trilogies and hundreds of pages.
I
So,
don't know where it came from.
what other? I know we already talked. You said big movie buff. What other hobbies do you have besides that?
I play music. I play the piano and I sing. Although I'm not singing tonight. No, it's music is one big thing, and I grew up in a musical family, so it's kind of just engraved in me. To it was a necessity. My dad would not let us not play an instrument.
Oh, that's awesome. I have no singing voice, so trust me, if you're not singing, I am really not singing. And the only thing I could play on piano, I know the Rugrats theme song.
That's so funny that you say that. My husband was literally playing it just before he left. I'm like, Rugrats, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's about all he plays too. So
All right, good. It sounds like me and him would be great friends because he's
right.
watching Jurassic Park. He's playing the Rugrats theme. This is awesome. So yeah, that's very interesting, and I guess kind of ties into that creative gene because every once in a while you see some people who just kind of have that talent. And as a singer and piano player, do you want to kind of add to this world with like music to it? Like a lot of those things, like the stories, you see songs and it's in italics and in the books and everything, and sometimes like not super great or necessary, but reading them is just another addition of what you guys can do, where it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Do you have songs and that type of stuff written out for this world, or anything else you're working on?
I do. So Bloodbound has songs in it, and I actually had every intention of like recording that song as it like, because it does have music and it does have a sound. I was going to do that with my brother, but he got really caught up with stuff and busy, and that's totally understandable. But we were going to do that together, and I was like, oh, it's going to be so cool, and I can make it like a reader magnet. But I tend to go to the piano and just play things. And then my brother is also, he's going to school for music, like that's his big thing. I was like, what's it sound like? Does it sound like I thought it sounded Christmassy. He's like, no, it sounds like Bloodbound. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting that you say that, because now that you say that, I'm like, I can hear the tones in it. It's weird, but yeah, definitely it comes out.
No, that's awesome. I think he should step up and get this going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to ask him. I'm going to say, how is he handling his life and trying to make times to be your musical cohort. So that's awesome, because I love reading those things. As the story comes up, it just gives it an additional level of depth to it, where not a lot of people, but people can write and get a story across and everything like that. But then when you have like the rhythm in your head as you're reading it, it really just like takes it to another level.
Yeah. Then they get stuck in my head, and then nobody knows what it is.
What do you think? We were talking earlier about subverting tropes and how you have gone about doing it. But what do you think the most popular trope is right now, and how do you go about trying to avoid it? There's like you said, it's the chosen one story, everything like that. How do you kind of keep in focus, doing what you want to do, but also making the world feel unique?
Are you like, you're talking about for Bloodbound specifically, or in general? Like,
I guess it's two-parter. So we'll go with Bloodbound first, and then what do you think is in general?
In Bloodbound, I did take the chosen one. I do love the chosen. It will be in most what I write will have it in some form or another. I know it's like everyone's like, oh, we're done. I don't care. I will read it. I will write it. I love it. I will soak it all up. For Bloodbound, I didn't want to do it in a typical way. So with the twin brothers, that was kind of my way of twisting it a little bit, where it's not just Raiden, and the magic won't work with just one. It's not just the chosen one, it's the chosen two. It worked in that way, and that was kind of the plan, was to just avoid that it's just another reluctant hero chosen one story. I think with Unbound, I didn't have the twin brother aspect going for it, but it's more so that it's like chosen one, but I don't know if it comes across that it would, but he's it's not like he doesn't want it, and it's like he knows that it's his calling, his destiny kind of thing. So it's almost like a destiny calling.
Yeah, it almost felt more. It felt like more coming of age, in a way, which I guess it would be that, because it's him kind of stepping into his role, and even the people traveling with him stepping into their role. It's a lot of shadow stepping out of, I guess, if is that a trope or even a phrase, I have no idea, but we can copyright it as of today. But it made it a lot of fun to read.
That's good. Yeah, it's I guess it's hard to work around tropes that are overdone, that because everything's been done before. I can't word it right. Everything's been done before, right? And it's one of those things where you want to write something unique and original, but sometimes, people like tropes. That's what they go for. It's why they're so popular. So you're like, I want to write something unique, but I also want to write something in the trope And then it's just a matter of how can I make this work? How can I write it well and make the story thrive in its own right? So that's the tricky part. And every story is going to be different. Every character is going to be different. Every writer.
And yeah, exactly. But as far as other unique things that like you said, the tropes everything's always there. The trick is to make it your own. What have you come across recently, whether it's a movie, a show, a book? What do you think has been the most unique thing that you've kind of come across recently?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess in books, movies, any in general.
Just in general, yeah, anything.
I don't know. I've been reading Harry Potter again with my kids. I've been reading The Hobbit and like all the classics that don't know that maybe they were unique in their time. Maybe they were, turnarounds then. I don't know. I don't know that anything stands out to me right now as unique. I did read a series last year. It's actually behind me on my shelf. That's it was like the Child of Amorous and the Warden Son series, and I really liked that one where it took dragons to another level. They're not quite dragons; they're a creature unto themselves, but the magic system was really unique, where they have different abilities, and the main character Cassiel is like he's a feral, so he can connect and communicate with the animals telepathically, and I thought that was really cool. So if we're looking at unique and something that was like a turnaround, it was also a chosen one. Why but
it's fun to hear another unique chosen one story.
Yeah.
Everyone's still doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? It's like we're still doing it, but if you could do it well and slide it in there where it's there and it's kind of obvious, but at the same time, these other aspects about it can kind of take that and make it something that stands out further.
Which is a very challenging to do, but when it gets done properly, I'm a huge Chosen One fan. Also, it's one another that's like you said, where it's just like keep feeding them to me, and I'll keep reading. It's just a lot of fun.
It really
yeah, so it's been very enjoyable to come across that. There's been so much. Like I didn't realize up until maybe like a year ago, like how deep the indie like smaller circuit goes, and I made that classic mistake of getting into the scene and trying to be the arc reader, and I signed up for everybody's, like everyone's, and it put me behind, and it almost it felt like a job at a certain point, like a very fun non-paying job, but it was awesome. And
okay. I was gonna say that almost is like you don't want to fall into a slump either, like from something like that.
It turned out to be just amazing, like all of these things where it's I'm glad to have you on and have other people on this where it's books that really ended up being amazing, and it's like one of those things where you kind of have to like dig through and find it. But I don't even know if in the last year and a half I've read a book where it wasn't my not favorite, but I don't have any that I wouldn't recommend. And it's been like an amazing journey trying to watch everybody grow, and being able to give back a little bit with this. And I'm super stoked about it and very happy that all of you guys fell into my lap. It turns out Twitter is actually good for something, and it's finding the writing community, which is very funny.
It's an amazing community.
Yeah, and it's funny. The more I read, the more worlds that I think I would like to visit, and yours stands out as one of the top ones because it's so fully fleshed out and fun, and I do something occasionally where it's like, would you survive? And I would live in your world, and it's awesome. It's such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
But
it's not a beast trying to kill you or something.
I had like Michael Fletcher on like 2 weeks ago maybe, and I was just like, "Would you survive?" And he is just like, "Fuck no, like absolutely not." And it's like a lot of people I wouldn't, but yours I would, and I feel like I would enjoy the world.
Yeah.
Um, what other authors, or not even authors, I guess it could be like a movie that you've seen recently, but what other world do you think that if you got sucked into, this would be home besides The Hobbit? I know you just said you're reading your son The Hobbit. That's cheating. I feel like any other answer but that, because that's the
Okay.
universal. Yes, I'd
Right.
be there
Who
tomorrow if
wouldn't
I
live in
could.
Hobbiton?
Yeah.
That's the thing. You talk about survivability, and that's the big one, because I think about some of these stories in these worlds, and I'm like, I don't want to die though. I don't want to be eaten by a monster. um, I'd probably say the one that stands out to me is the one that I mentioned earlier, The Child of Andrus, and that series, The Warden's Son, because it's another one of those worlds where you can dwell in and live, and it's not everything's trying to kill you. And it's very fleshed out. It's got a really cool landscape and layout of the land, depending on where most the story takes place in various cities, but it would be a cool place, I think.
uh,
I
I have
don't
to.
remember the name.
I have to remember that because I haven't read it. So I it's always good when I'm talking with someone and they add to my TBR. So I appreciate it. My wife, I'm sure, does not, because
Make
the
your list
shelves
longer.
they're going down at some point. I feel like my Amazon fund is just dwindling.
I know the
But
feeling.
I'm excited to look into that though. What do you think heading into a long weekend right now? Again, besides that, now at this point, what do you think would be an ideal book for over a 3-day weekend that someone would be able to get into?
Like just a single book or a series?
I guess either or, but yeah, on like a holiday, you're thinking relaxing time vibes. What's something where someone could grab over the weekend and you kind of fall in love with it?
Oh, I feel like I gotta look at my books behind me. There's a lot. I would really have to think about. There's so many I could recommend. I think it would depend on your mood. I'm a mood reader. um, I would say, I don't know. I don't know off
A
the
lot of
top of my head. I
options.
have to think about that.
A lot of options. It's hard, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's it gets difficult, but
yeah, yeah.
there's just too many options.
How do you pick one? How do you just pick one? And then my mind goes to like the spy thrillers too, because like those are what I still enjoy them. I still love them.
What's your favorite spy thriller? Because I'm gonna have to look into this a little bit deeper. I don't know. I'm not nearly well versed enough.
Probably the one I mentioned earlier, the Devil's Plaything. I don't know if it's considered spy thriller so much as it's just like a psychological. No, it wouldn't be. I really he's not okay. He is. It's Scott Mariani is the author, and he writes like it's espionage, but it's like action espionage. Like the character is ex SAS, I think it's SAS, yeah. And he's kind of freelance now. He does his own thing. So every book is like a different kind of. It's almost like a bit of a 007 sort of thing. But that I really loved. The Star of Africa was one of his books, and it was just one thing after another, and I was like, I can't put this down.
Are you a 007 or Mission Impossible person?
If I had to pick, I'd probably go with 007. Maybe because it plays into my upbringing as well. Like I watched more of it as a kid, where Mission Impossible was kind of later in my years, like when I was a bit older. So it's not got that nostalgic kind of aspect to it. But
Who's your Bond then? Is it Connery?
no,
Uh,
it's Daniel Craig.
okay, I love it because I thought Casino Royale and Skyfall are like two of the best movies out
So
of all of them.
yeah, and I did like Pierce Brosnan, and I don't know. if it was the plot to the I really like Goldeneye.
Goldeye's amazing. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if it's Brosnan or if it's just the movie and it's like that's the one and it's Sean Bean and
Yeah, that's right. I forgot he was in that.
yeah,
He
yeah.
dies in everything.
Of course.
Yeah.
You
Oh
must.
my God.
Except for
So you think that's written into his contract at this point?
I think
Or
I think there was a change where he wasn't gonna die in every movie because it was becoming so predictable that there was like this idea now where maybe we won't kill him. I don't know. I
yeah,
feel
if
like
he makes it to the end, it's like, whoa.
mhm.
It's like he dies in the sequel.
Yeah, I feel like I've watched one recently with him where he doesn't die, but I cannot for the life of me think of the name of it right now either.
I think the only thing I've seen where he doesn't die is The Martian, and he gets fired. So does that count as dying, professionally?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a death of sorts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one way or another, he's going down. But yeah, Goldeneye's amazing. I think he gets crushed with like a satellite dish.
Something like that. It's pretty brutal. It's
Yeah,
great.
that's not good. It's. I love Daniel Craig, but it's one of those. First movie's amazing. Second movie, not so amazing. Third movie, amazing. Fourth, not so amazing. Fifth,
Yeah.
pretty good. So
Bit inconsistent, but
yeah, but his highs are ridiculous.
yeah. I think also they started writing 007 with like actual like because the earlier ones, I feel like there's not a ton of story there. I feel like it was really just like women in action.
Yeah.
Like okay, like where's the story? Where's the plot?
Yeah, it was mostly women action and just the craziest gadgets they could think of, I
Yeah.
guess.
I mean, it's cool, but it's got to have more.
Yeah.
Gotta
So
feel
at least that is, and then Mission Impossible is crazy, but I think it's mostly just Tom Cruise being crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I do like Mission Impossible. I like. I feel like they got there was like a couple recently. I haven't seen the most recent one. I haven't seen the newest one.
Mm.
As soon as I don't know, certain things freak me out too when they start to become a little bit too close to home, too real. Where it's like
Hmm.
this isn't sci-fi anymore. Now this is just like almost reality, and it's freaky.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so,
Which it gets there. It's like, oh my God, like, this country is stealing, nuclear material. And it's like, I got to shut the news off because this is like
yeah,
ripped out of it. But
yeah,
yeah, I think the 007s are probably a little bit more fun.
yeah. They're a little less close to home. That's I think what I like about it. The earlier ones are good. Like they're not as um realistic in that kind of sense.
Yeah, dramatic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I always have trouble ending these things. I both of my brothers, we were talking before about how family, I think, is the underlying theme of the series so far, and
Yeah.
it it was funny that we were talking, and you and your siblings are 2 years apart. Me and mine are 2 years apart. Both of them gave me good advice on how to close the show, and I don't have those text messages anymore. So I can't listen to them. I'm sure afterwards I'm going to be like, that would have been better. But I'll just do it the way I've been doing it recently, and say, with everything that I've read of yours so far, and everything we've talked about, do you have any, not just questions for me, but what do you recommend for me to check out going forwards? Because I want to keep looking at things that inspired you. So the stories that we've talked about so far that you've taken and built upon in your own universe, because it is at this point. What do you recommend that I check out or dig a little bit deeper into?
Like story wise,
Yes.
I go back to the I'm gonna mention it 3 times. This is good advertising for Nikki McCormack. The Child of Vanris is the Warden's Son series. Those ones for sure I think are fantastic. I read them after I'd written my book, so they weren't so much inspiration going forward like in that series. But going backwards, Terry Brooks, yeah, like the Shannara Chronicles. I don't know if they're an oldie, but they're classic, right? They're good ones. Yeah, and if you're into some espionage thriller, Scott Marianne is a good author to check out.
I'm gonna message you after this and just be like, I need everything, please.
And it's like, of course, it's all subjective. So I'm saying this, and I'm like, someone's gonna be like, "Oh, that was awful. Why'd she recommend that?" I'm like, I loved it.
Oh, I'm sure everything recommended is good because everything that you've written has been good. I want to give another shout out again. Well, before I give another shout out, can you tell people where to find you on the socials? Do you have a personal website where everyone could buy books from there?
I do, yeah. trinitycunningham.ca. It's really simple, easy to remember, I hope. I say that a lot. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, if you can call that being on it, adding like one post in a year. I'm so not great with TikTok, but I'm trying.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah. They're all linked. Like there's all little icons on my website, so everything should be. And then like same with links to the Amazon and whatnot. So it's all there.
Yes, it is. And I got to say, your TC logo is awesome.
Oh, thank you. My husband's best friend did that. He does that. That's his job. And I asked him, I'm like, would you please? He sent me a few different to select from, and that was the one that won out.
I like it. Yeah. No, I don't know why I did. Well, I guess I know why I didn't mention it. It's on the side of the book, and I showed the covers. But yeah, it's awesome. That's a cool little logo.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you very much for wanting to be on. When I first, got everything going on that initial Twitter post, you're like, whenever this is up and running, I am there. Like I appreciate that very much. And I'm looking forward to book 3. I'm going to keep reading as soon as we get done talking here. But I do just want to say one more time that both of these books so far are awesome. I highly recommend them. They've been a lot of fun, and I am excited to keep reading everything that you put out in the future.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's really nice to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's well deserved. I've loved doing it when people deserve it. It makes it so easy to not lie when it's just like, well, what did you love about it? And it's like, I can go on and on like we just did. And, I've recommended it to a couple other people. So I'm going to pass my copies along. Well, actually, I'm going to tell them to buy them. Mine are autographed. I'm thinking about it. But yeah, thank you again for being on. And thank you for people in the chat. I kind of forgot to share people commenting besides Mike about Trinity. But I'm glad everyone was here. I hope you have a great weekend. Do you have off tomorrow, or you had off at the beginning of the week?
School's out, so I'm off. I'm in the school, so I got all summer.
Enjoy your long weekend.
You too.
Everyone else, we will be back not next week, but the week after. I need to get better at scheduling because I did yours on the initial day when I was going to a concert, and then I did nothing all next week, and I was like, I didn't even realize it. I thought the month had 4 weeks. It has 5, but I'll take it. So this was a great show heading into a 1-week hiatus. Again, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it a lot.
Thanks so much. I appreciate being here. And happy. You know what I mean.
Yes, of course. Yeah, exactly. What time is it by you?
It's only just after 9 now for me, so I'm only an hour.
Exhausting. It's too late. We're homebodies now.
It's exactly how it goes. It's like, when did I become an introvert?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know when that happened. I have no idea. We went to a concert last night, and on the way home, I was just like, I am tired. We used to do like 5 nights in a row of concerts, and now it's just like one. And I like sat. I'm old. I sat. And it was like, I'm tired, but
party animal, you.
I really need to pace myself. But have Have a good rest of your night, a long weekend, and I'll be messaging you probably immediately for those recommendations.
Okay,
Thanks again for being on.
thanks. All right,
Bye.
bye.